Jerry here. As you can guess from looking at the title, today we'll be talking about role-playing compared to role-playing. Now, when you're playing in the world of D&D or another role-playing game, one of the biggest parts is you're not playing yourself. I'm not playing Jeremiah, I'm playing Ilianas Mortar, Elf of the Tide. But some people don't quite get as into it as others. Some people prefer heavy roleplay games where they act out their characters' actions, motions, and speak in their voice. Whereas others would prefer to play a game where they just, say, oh, my character picks up the sword and hits him in the face. My character will go over and he talks to him instead, tells him what we've done and asks what work he has going. Now, there's nothing wrong with either of those. Both are perfectly fine. They will both lead to different experiences through the game though. And I'm here to explain the difference between role-playing and role-playing. Now, what's the difference, you may ask? What's the difference between role-playing and role-playing? Well, there's quite a big difference. So, role-playing will result in you acting out your character a lot more, building on who they are, and slowly over the course of the story, hopefully, their personality will change. It will adapt based on how the current story goes. If your character suffers transgressions made against them that cause them stress or sadness, their personality may shift slightly to a darker tone. Maybe they seek revenge. Maybe they're happy-go-lucky and try to brush it off, but deep down it still gets to them. And you can play that out in character through interaction with NPCs, other players, story plot points, and even maybe the Game Master has designed a scenario for your character to test their spirit, to test their resolve. Will they hold or will they falter? Role-playing is a little different. So, while you may act out parts with your character, and you can combine them both to find a nice healthy middle ground. And that's all well and good, that's completely up to you. When you're role-playing, if it comes to a hard decision where your character's memories and experiences to this point have led to this decision, will they save their homeland? Or will they sacrifice their homeland to possibly save millions more? Now, with roleplay, you may look at it and go, well, we need to make these decisions, but my character also really values his home, so it's a difficult decision that you have to make, and you may end up coming up with a mysterious third option. But with roleplay, you might just go, well, I don't know, roll a dice. Oh, 50-50 chance. Oh, screw home, go this place. And you follow that path. Now, as I've said before, I will say it again, there is nothing wrong with either of these. If that's how you want to play, that's how you want to play. I'm explaining the difference and the advantages and the disadvantages of each side. On one side, roleplay is a low-stress, more entertainment varied version. You're playing the game for fun, you're not playing for the story as much as a roleplay, but it's still enjoyable. Whereas with the roleplay, you're playing to feel the story. You can feel the pain your character goes through at times, and even feel pain because of what your character goes through. I've had several times where people who have grown quite emotionally invested in their characters have themselves felt sad when something bad's happened to their character. We've even had tears shed at some point. It was quite surprising, but it's nice to see, because it shows people are invested in the story that I'm telling, your GM's telling. Hell, it could be a story that you're telling, and in character someone else feels that the tug on the heartstrings. It can be a powerful emotion. Now, with these, there are, as I've said, upsides and downsides. One of the downsides to role-playing is that your DM may have trouble coming up with specific character arcs or things for your character specifically to do over the rest of the party. Now, as some may, I try to, Incorporate aspects from each character in the campaign so they each feel as viable as each other and is included in the story, invested in some way. Whether it be a half-orc cleric who's invested to protect her hometown and make a name for herself, or a bard who travels the land simply trying to get famous by making music, poems, and rhymes about some of the local tragedies. Either way, they both have motives, they both have drive, something that you can attach them to the campaign with. But if you've got Harry, the half-orc fighter, and he goes into this place, doesn't really have too much of a motivation, wants to get famous, alright? Goes in, maybe the other two are off talking to people, learning things and adapting, trying to work out how they can help in the crisis, or how they can find out what's happening and write a story about it. Harry the half-orc, with his big sword, decides, what shall I do here? I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna roll these. Oh, alright. So, the dice tell me that I'm going to go out of town, look around, and see what I can encounter out there. Get a bit of practice in. I can't be bothered sitting down here and talking with these people. Or, when the party is in trouble, and Harry sees one of his friends down there, wounded on the ground, instead of making the heartfelt decision of going and helping them, or turning to prevent that large ogre from crushing their mage behind him, instead of looking at it and working out what his character would do, which one he should try and help at the moment, whether he should try and fend off the ogre, then help the downed friend, with fear of that friend being attacked by any of the nearby goblins or orcs, or going to help that downed friend and letting the poor mage try and deal with the ogre alone. Now, that can be a hard decision to make in-game. But if you've got dice and you're role-playing, then you can literally just pick up a d10, go 1 to 5, I go and help the downed friend, and 6 to 10, I'll help the one over there. Roll the dice. I guess I go and help the down one. You don't have to think as much. And you can still enjoy it. It may occasionally annoy the other players, but it's not a bad way of playing. I used to do it quite a lot, and still, sometimes when very low energy, you still kind of revert to those tendencies from time to time. Not bad. It's just less intensive. Now, a good way to help make these decisions is alignment. Now, alignment is a touchy subject in the community. A lot of people say it shouldn't exist. A lot of people say that it's useful. A lot of people say that they're rules, not guidelines. Now, you can decide whichever you like, but in my opinion, now this is my opinion only, alignments are a guideline that are there to assist you. If you're in a situation where your character isn't sure how they'd react, and you're honestly not sure how they'd react, you can look at the alignment and use that as a guide to determine what outcomes they would likely look at. If they're chaotic good, and they see someone being wrongfully accused, and you don't know how to handle this, you can either go over there and try and save them, tear them out of the way of the law's hand, potentially become a fugitive yourself, but save the wrongfully accused person. Or you could simply let them get taken away and try and break them out later, or something else. Whereas if you're lawful good, for example, you might try and find evidence to prove that they're innocent, and then get them out that way. Alignment is a complicated subject, but I'm going to make a separate video for that another time. And so we'll touch up on that in more detail there. But alignment can be a good guide for making decisions when role-playing or role-playing. Even when role-playing, you may not need to make a lot of decisions, but you still need the options, which you've got to work out yourself. So, one thing that I would suggest, now this is regardless of whether you role-play or role-play, you want to try and give your characters quirks and a bit of personality. So that way you can still have that bit of a character going, rather than a bit of paper with a name on it and some dice. You'll have Steve, ogre from the north, with some dice. Not a bad idea. So what you do there is you work out a couple of quirks. Do they have nervous tics? Do they like a certain kind of thing? Are they particularly fond of a kind of race or animal? Maybe they're not fond of a particular race or animal. All of these things are things you can build into the character, and that will not only help you work out what options you are to roll, or what decisions your character would make, maybe it helps you bridge the gap between the two. Find a healthy medium that you're happy with. But just remember, this character is your character. It's not the dice's character. In the end, you have the final say. So when you roll that dice, and you say, 1 to 4 I'll do this, 5 to 10 I'll do something else, you roll it, and you get that moment as you look at it, kind of go, oh, on the inside, then you know what decision you should make. The dice do not command you, as they do some of the creatures that I command. The dice are there as part of the game. And what point is a game if you're not having fun with it? Now, in the end, as I've stated, it is a game for fun. You're here to enjoy yourself. I'm only throwing words at you that I've found useful when I've been learning or teaching other people. You can quite easily play without listening to a single word I say. But I hope this has helped. If it has, feel free to share it around. Show other people who may be just starting to learn or want to kind of branch out a little more. I've also got a video up of how to create NPCs, a few little tips and bits and pieces that I've put into that to help GMs and DMs create NPCs with character, personality and feeling. Make them their own. You can quite easily take some of the tips and hints in there and use those on your characters. There's nothing saying you can't. And, honestly, I do the same thing with some of my characters. I'll go through my NPC creation and I'll pick a few of those for my characters. Chances are, it's only going to help create them anyway. Sometimes it can cause interesting scenarios in-game, but that's a different topic. But, eventually, you want to have a bit of an attachment to your character that's more than just rolling dice. If that's all you want to do, that's all you want to do. But there is a lot more to D&D than rolling dice and writing numbers on paper. That's it for this video. I hope that helped. If it did, drop a comment down below so I can have a look. If it didn't help, let me know in the comments below. If there's anything in particular you would like to see, or some advice on, or hear about, post down, message me on the Facebook page, either or. I see it, I'll add it to the list, and then once I get through that list, eventually a video will come out that will tackle the issue that you asked about. But, for now, I'm off. See you around.